Okay friends, welcome to Login Science. In today's video, we are going to solve a question from past exam paper. Okay, so the question is from paper 1, question 1 from DBE. Okay, we are going to do a bit of algebra. So you need to know how to solve equations and you need to know how to solve inequalities. Okay, so this is the question. It's question 1 from November 2021. Okay, so the total is 24 marks. Okay, you can see that. Okay, let me get the question again. Question 1 from November 2021. Okay, this is the question. You can see. So we start with 1.1. 1.1 solve for x. You have 1.1.1. 1.1.1. So you have x squared minus 2x minus 24. X squared minus 2x minus 24 is equal to 0. You have to solve for x. Okay, so you are going to factorize this into two pairs of brackets. So you have this bracket like this, and this is equal to 0. So you are going to have x times x. This is going to give you x squared, and now you have negative 24 and we have negative 2 in the middle. So you need to use two numbers. When you multiply those two numbers, you are going to get negative 24. And when you add those two numbers, you are going to get negative 2. Okay, so you can use 6 and 4. You know that 4 times 6 is equal to 24. And from 4 and 6, you can get negative 2. When you have 4 minus 6, you are going to get negative 2. So you are going to use 4 and 6. You know that 4 times 6 is 24. And you need to get the middle term, which is from 4 minus 6. So you are going to have plus there and minus there. You know that 4 minus 6 is going to give you minus 2. Okay, so now you know from here x plus 4 is equal to 0, right? Or x minus 6 is equal to 0. Okay, and from here you know that x is equal to negative 4 or x is equal to 6. You can see that. Okay, so this is how you solve this question. Now 1.1.2, you have this 2x squared minus 3x minus 3 is equal to 0. This is what we are given. Now the question is to solve for x correct to two decimal places. Okay, when they tell you that you need to get your x correct to two decimal places, you know that you cannot factorize this easily into two brackets like this. Okay, so what we are going to do is to use the quadratic formula. This is the quadratic formula. You are given it on the information sheet, right? You can find it on the information sheet together with the question paper. So when they ask you to get your answer correct to two decimal places, just use the quadratic formula. Okay, so you know your A is 2, your B is negative 3, and your C is negative 3. You can see that. Just like in alphabetical order, you have A, B, and C. Your A is 2, your B is negative 3, and your C is negative 3. You can see that. So now after plugging all these into the quadratic formula, you have this x is equal to this. There is negative b, so your b is negative 3, right? Plus or negative square root of, you have b square. This is your b negative 3. You have b squared there minus 4ac. Your a is 2 and your c is negative 3. You can see that over 2a. There's 2 times a is 2, right? Okay, let me close this. So you carry on, x is equal to, you have this, which is 3, negative 3, it's 3, plus or negative there, and then square root of this. What do you get from this? Use your calculator. Okay, so you can do this in the exam. You solve step by step. So we have negative 3 square minus 4 times 2 in bracket, times negative 3 in bracket, like this, and this is equal to square root of 33. You can see that. So you have square root of 33 over, this is 4, right? 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, and so this is equal to, x is equal to, use your calculator. I'm going to use my emulator. Okay, so I have 3 plus or negative. Okay, let me use plus first. and then I'm going to use negative after. Okay, so I'm using addition first, and I'm going to use subtraction after. So you have plus square root of 33 over 4. I hope you can see that. And you have your answer in decimal. Get your answer correct to 2 decimal places. This will be 2.19. 2.19, or x is equal to, now use negative. So after using positive, you're going to use negative. Okay, so you have 3 minus square root of 33 over 4, and you have negative 0.69. So you get your answer correct to 2 decimal places, negative 0.69. You can see that. Okay, so this is how you do this question. Okay, let's carry on. Let me put a line here. Okay, I'm going to do the next question here. Let me get the question again. It's question 1 from November 2021. Okay, this is the question. So we are done with 1.1.2. Now we are going to do 1.1.3. Okay, so it's 1.1.3. You have this x squared plus 5x less than or equal to negative 4. You can see less than or equal to negative 4. Okay, you have to solve for x. Okay, let me close this. You have this, which is an inequality. This is a quadratic inequality. You can see that you have x squared, right? So a quadratic inequality is an inequality of the second degree. You can see x squared. This is a quadratic inequality. Okay, let's solve this. So you have x squared plus 5x. You take this to the left, it becomes plus 4, right? Less than or equal to 0. Now you remain with 0 on the right side. Okay, you carry on. Now you can factorize this into 2 brackets like this, into 2 pairs of brackets like this, right? This is less than or equal to 0 like this. So you have x times x, which will give you x squared. And then now you need to have 2 numbers. When you multiply those 2 numbers, you are going to get 4. And if you add those 2 numbers, you are going to get 5. Can you see 1 and 4? You know that 1 times 4 will give you 4, and 1 plus 4 will give you 5. So you can use 1 and 4. Since you have plus there, it means that the signs inside the bracket are going to be the same. The same as what? Plus. So you are going to have plus there and plus there. You can see that. Okay, so now from here, this is a quadratic inequality. So after factorization, you need to get your critical values, right? So the critical values, from here you can see that you have x is equal to negative 1. When you equate this to 0, you are going to find that x is equal to negative 1, and you have x is equal to negative 4 when you equate this to 0, right? So your critical values are x is equal to negative 1 and x is equal to negative 4. Okay, now from here you need to get your number line. Okay, so this is the number line. You can draw it. I know that you are in grade 12. You can draw this. You have 0, 1, 2, and on the left you have negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, and so on. Okay, now from here what you have to do is to locate your critical values on the number line. Okay, you have x is equal to negative 4. There's negative 4. So you are going to have a closed circle. This is a closed circle, not an open circle. Why do you have a closed circle? Because you have equal there. Can you see? Less than or equal. So it means that the critical values are also included. So negative 1 and negative 4 are also included because you have equal there. You have equal. Can you see? And you have to show that using a closed circle. Okay. And you have x is equal to negative 1. There's negative 1. You're going to use a closed circle. Okay. This is to show that negative 4 and negative 1 are also included because you have an equal sign. So you have to show that using a closed circle. Okay. So after that, you can see now the critical values are dividing the number line into 3 intervals. So you have the intervals before negative 4, and you have the intervals between negative 4 and negative 1, and you have the intervals after negative 1. You can see you have this interval and this interval and this interval. So you have 3 of them. Okay, now after getting your critical values on the number line, now you have to test your intervals. You are going to test this interval and this interval and this interval using the numbers you have on the interval. So before -4, you have these numbers which are less than -4. You have -5, -6, -7, -8, -9, all the way to -infinity. So you can use any number that is less than -4 to test this interval and see if you are going to get a positive or a negative answer. So let's use -5. You can also use -6, -7, any number which is less than -4. So I'm going to use -5. So you plug -5 there and you plug -5 there and see if the answer is going to be positive or negative. You can do this mentally. You don't need to use a calculator. Okay, let me use a calculator so that you can understand this, but you can do this mentally. All you need to know is the signs. Okay, so if you use a calculator, if you can't do this mentally, you can see I'm going to use -5. You can also use -6, -7, any number which is less than -4. So let me use -5. You plug -5 there. You have +1. You close the bracket. You plug -5 there. +4, right? I hope you can see that. So there's your -5 and there's your -5. You substitute -5 in the place of x. And now you have the answer which is 4, right? This is a positive answer. Okay, so you can see if you use any number which is less than -4, or if you use any number which is before -4, you're going to have a positive answer. So we obtained 4, which is a positive answer. So on this interval, you have positive. Now you have to test this interval, the interval between -4 and -1. So you can use any number in between. So you have -2 and -3. Use any. So take -3 or -2. You plug in there. When you plug in there, you are going to see that you are going to get negative, right? You can do that using your calculator or you can do it mentally. So you are going to have negative there. You do the same here. Use any number which is after -1 or use any number which is greater than -1. So all these numbers, you can use them 0, 1, 2, 3, all you can use them to test this interval. So when you test this interval using any number which is greater than -1, you're going to find plus on this interval. Okay, so now you can see after getting the signs in the interval, you can see this is less than. Can you see less than? So less than 0 means negative, and you only have this part which is negative. So the part which is applicable is only this one. So this is the part which is applicable, this one, because we have negative, and this is less than 0, which is negative, right? So this will be, if you have to write it, it will be from -4 to -1. Okay, so you have x less than or equal to -1 and x greater than or equal to -4. This is how you write it, okay? Or you can give your answer like this: x element of this interval from -4 to -1. Okay, so you have to give it like this or like this. You don't have to write the two answers, okay? Just give this one or this one, okay? You can see that. So you have x element of this interval from -4 to -1, and make sure that you use a square bracket, not a round bracket. You have to use a square bracket to show that -4 and -1 is included. So you have to use a square bracket, not a round bracket. Okay, let me do the next question on the next slide. Okay, let me get the question again. It's question 1 from November 2021. This is the question. Okay, so we are done with 1.1.3, this one. Now we are going to solve this one, 1.1.4. Okay, so this is the question. You have square root of x plus 28 is equal to 2 minus x, you can see, okay? And the question is 4 marks. You have to solve for x. Okay, let me close this for now. So from here, what you have to do is to get rid of the square root sign, you can see. So to get rid of the square root sign, you have to raise everything there to the power of 2. So what you do on the left, you also do it on the right. Okay, because it is square root, you have to raise it to the power of 2. So you have this, right? You raise it to the power of 2 like that, and then you are going to get rid of this. And this is equal to what you do on the left, you also do it on the right, right? You also raise this to the power of 2. Okay, and you only remain with x plus 28, and this is equal to, you have this 2 minus x times another 2 minus x in bracket. So you are going to have 2 times 2, right? Which is 4. And you have 2 times negative x, which is negative 2x. And you have negative x times 2, which is a negative 2x. So you have negative 2x minus 2x, which will give you minus 4x. I hope you can do that. And then you have negative x times negative x, which will be plus x squared. Okay, so now you have plus x squared. You take it to the left, you have negative x squared, this one, okay, and you have minus 4x. You take it to the left, it becomes plus 4x. So you have 4x plus x, which is plus 5x, okay, and then you have 28 minus 4. The 4 comes to the left, it becomes minus 4. So you have 28 minus 4, which is plus 24. And this is equal to 0. You only remain with 0 on the right side. Okay, so from here what you can do is to multiply by negative 1 throughout, so that the coefficient of x squared can be 1. Okay, so when you multiply by negative 1 throughout, you have x squared minus 5x minus 24, okay, is equal to, you multiply by negative 1, you have 0. Okay, so now this can be factorized into 2 pairs of brackets like this. This is equal to 0, and then you have x times x, okay, to get this. Now from here you have to use 2 numbers. If you multiply those 2 numbers, you are going to get negative 24, and if you add those 2 numbers, you are going to get negative 5. Okay, so you can use 3 and 8. You know that 3 times 8 is 24, and from 3 minus 8 you can get minus 5. Okay, so you have 3 and 8. You can see 3 times 8 is 24, and from 3 minus 8 you have minus 5. Okay, so you are going to have plus there and minus there. Okay, and you carry on. You can see from here x is equal to negative 3, okay, or x is equal to 8. Okay, you can do that. Make sure you always check your answers. You have to make sure that you check your answers. So you take negative 3, you plug in the place of x, and see if you are going to get the same thing on both sides of the equal sign. You do the same. You take 8, you plug 8 there, and you plug 8 there, and check if you are going to get the same thing on both sides of the equal sign. Okay, let's check our answers. So you take negative 3. When you plug negative 3 there, you are going to have 28 minus 3, which is 25. The square root of 25 is 5. Okay, you get 5 on the left side. Let's see this side. You have 2 minus minus 3. Okay, so it's 2 minus minus 3. So you are going to have 2 plus 3. And this is 5. You can see you get 5 again. So you have 5 this side and 5 this side. Okay, this is an answer. It is valid. Let's try this one. You have x is equal to 8. You plug 8 there. Now you have 8 plus 28, which is 36. The square root of 36 is 6. So you have 6 on the left. Let's see on the right. You have 2 minus 8. 2 minus 8 is negative 6. Can you see you have 6 this side, but you have negative 6 on the right? So this is not a valid answer. So let's reject this. Okay, x is not equal to 8. You only have x is equal to negative 3. Okay, so always make sure that you check your answers. Okay, let's carry on. Let me have a line here. Okay, and what is the next question? Okay, so we are done with this one. Now we are going to do this one, 1.2. 1.2, solve simultaneously for x and y. You have these two equations. Okay, you have to solve simultaneously for x and y. So you have the first one, which is 2y is equal to 3 plus x. 2y is equal to 3 plus x. Let's call this our first equation. Okay, and we have this one, 2xy plus 7 is equal to x squared plus 4y squared, right? 2xy plus 7 is equal to x squared plus 4y squared. Let's call this our second equation. Okay, let's close this for now. you have to solve for x and y simultaneously. Okay, now from here what you have to do is to make x or y the subject of the formula. You can use equation number 1 or equation number 2. Okay, you can see from equation number 1, this is simple. You can say x is equal to 2y minus 3. When you take the 3 to the left, now you have x is equal to 2y minus 3. So from this one, x is equal to 2y minus 3. You can see that 2y minus 3. And this becomes our third equation. Okay, so now you take equation number 3, you plug it into 2. Do not plug it into 1. Not into 1 because 3 is obtained from 1. Do not plug it into 1. You have to plug it into 2, right? If you plug it into 1, this is not going to help you. Plug it into another equation, okay? Because 3 is obtained from 1, you cannot plug it into 1. You have to plug it into 2, okay? So this is 2. You have 2xy. What is your x? Your x is this. So you have 2 times x. This is your x. 2y minus 3. And then times y, right? Plus 7, right? Equal to, you have x squared. This is your x. So it's x squared. So you have this. You substitute this in the place of x. Remember it's square. Like that, right? Plus 4y squared. Okay. So this is your x squared. You have x squared there. And you have x there. There's your x. And there's another x squared. And there you have x. Okay. So you carry on. Now you have 2 times 2y, which is 4y, right? 2 times 2y, which is 4y, times another y, which is 4y squared. I hope you can see that. You have 4y there, times another y, which is y squared, okay? And then you have 2 times negative 3, which is negative 6, right? Times y, which is negative 6y, right? And then you have plus 7, okay? This is equal to, you have this. Remember, this is twice. Okay, so you have 2y times another 2y, which is 4y squared. And then you have 2y times negative 3, which is negative 6y. And then you have negative 3 times 2y, which is negative 6y. So you have negative 6y, which is negative 12y. Okay, and then you have negative 3 times negative 3, which is plus 9. Okay, and then plus 4y squared. Okay, now from here what you have to do is to take everything to the left side. So you have 4y squared minus 4y squared. This will go, right? 4y squared minus 4y squared. This will go. And then you have this 4y squared, another 4y squared. You take it to the left, it becomes negative 4y squared. Okay, and this negative 12y, you take it to the left, it becomes plus 12y. So you have 12y minus 6y, and this is plus 6y. Okay, 12y minus 6y, it's 6y. Okay, and you have plus 7. You take this one to the left, it becomes 7 minus 9, which is minus 2. Okay, and this is equal to 0. You only remain with 0 on the right side. Okay, so you carry on. You can divide by negative 2 throughout. Okay, you can also divide by negative 4 throughout. Okay, let me divide by negative 4 throughout to have the coefficient of y squared equal to 1. So when you divide by negative 4, this becomes y squared. And you divide this by negative 4, you have plus. Divide by negative, you have negative. And you have 6, divide by 4, you have 3 over 2, right? Y, okay. And you have negative 2, you divide by negative 4, you have plus 1 over 2, okay? So negative 2 divided by negative 4, you have plus 1 over 2 is equal to, you divide by negative 4, you get 0. So you divide by negative 4 throughout, you have this. Okay, now from here you can factorize this into 2 pairs of brackets like this. Okay, this is equal to 0. You have y squared, so you have y times y. And now from here you have to get two numbers. When you multiply those two numbers, you must get 1 over 2. And if you add those two numbers, you must get negative 3 over 2. Remember, negative 3 over 2 is the same as negative 1.5. this is negative 1.5. Okay, so the two numbers can be 1 times 1 over 2, right? This is 1 times 1 over 2 will give you this. And from 1 and 1 over 2, when you add the two numbers, you are going to get this. This is 1 and this is 0.5. And remember, this is negative 1.5. You have 1 there and this is 0.5. So since you have plus there, it means that the signs inside the bracket are going to be the same. The same as what? Negative. So you are going to have negative there and negative there. Because you have plus there, the signs are going to be the same as what? As negative. So you can see negative 1, negative 1 over 2 will give you negative 1.5. This is negative 1.5. Okay, and if you multiply these two, negative 1 times negative 1 over 2, it will give you plus 1 over 2. You can see that. Okay, now from here you can see that y is equal to 1 when you solve this part. So y is equal to 1 or y is equal to 1 over 2. Okay, so you have your y, this one and this one. Okay, now you have to get your x. So you can use this. X is equal to 2y minus 3. So when you take y is equal to 1, you plug 1 there, right? Y is equal to 1. You plug 1 there. You have 2 times 1, which is 2. You have 2 minus 3, which is negative 1. Okay, so you have x is equal to negative 1. So this is your x. Or now use this one to get your other x. You have 1 over 2. You plug y there. So y is equal to 1 over 2. You plug y there. So you have 2 times 1 over 2, which is equal to 1. You have now 1 minus 3, which is equal to negative 2. Okay, so you have your other x, which is equal to negative 2. Okay, so this is your other x. Okay, you have solved for your x and y simultaneously. Okay, this is question 1.2. Let's move on to the next question, which is 1.3. Okay, let me get the question again. It's question 1 from November 2021. Okay, so we are done with 1.2. This one, now we are going to solve 1.3. Okay, let me do this. So you have the root of an equation are x is equal to this. You have negative n plus or negative square root of n squared. You can see that minus 4mp over 2m, where m, n, and p are positive real numbers. The numbers m, n, and p in that order, in this order, m, n, and p form a geometric sequence. Prove that x is a non-real number. Okay, the question is 4 marks. Okay, first of all, if you can pay attention to this, you can see that this is actually in a quadratic formula form. Okay, so you have it in this form. You can see, right? You have your negative n. Your n is actually your b. So you have negative b and you have b squared underneath the square root sign. You can see that negative n, and then you have n squared underneath the square root sign. You can see that. And you have 2a. Can you see you have 2m? So your a is equal to m. You can see you have your a there, 4a. You have 4m. So your m is equal to a. And you have p, which is your c. You can see this is actually in the form of a quadratic formula. If you can recall from the quadratic formula, this is what? This is a discriminant. And we use the letter delta, this one. This is a Greek letter. So this is a Greek letter, which is delta. This is equal to b squared minus 4ac. So in this case, this delta is equal to n squared minus 4mp. This is your delta, the discriminant in this formula. In this quadratic formula, it is equal to b squared minus 4ac. So what we have to know from the quadratic formula is that when the discriminant, or when delta, this is delta, which is the discriminant, right? When the discriminant is greater than 0, you are going to have two real solutions. If the discriminant or delta is equal to 0, you are going to have one real solution. If the discriminant is less than 0, or if delta is less than 0, you are going to have non-real solutions. What you are going to have is two imaginary solutions. Okay, in grade 12 mathematics, we don't look at imaginary solutions. So forget about this. For now, just remember that when delta, or when the discriminant is less than 0, you have non-real solutions. Okay, forget about this. Let me close this for now. Okay, now the question is to prove that, let me get the question again so that you can understand this properly. This question is saying that you have to prove that x is a non-real number. For x to be a non-real number, delta or the discriminant, this discriminant n squared minus 4mp, n squared minus 4mp must be less than 0. So let's see if this n squared minus 4mp is less than 0. If it is less than 0, then you have proved that x is a non-real number. So we are going to say if delta or the discriminant is less than 0, then you know that x is a non-real number. Okay, from the question, let me get the question again. You have this information. You are given this information. The numbers m, n, and p in that order form a geometric sequence. So you know that this is your T1, this is your T2, and this is your T3. They form what? A geometric sequence. So you know that if you have to get a common ratio, this is a geometric sequence. M, n, and p. They form what? A geometric sequence. If you have to get the common ratio, you are going to take the next term, which is n. You divide it by the previous term, which is m, right? N, which is your T2, you divide it by m, which is your T1, and this must be equal to, you take another next term, which is p, you divide it by n, right? P divided by n, okay? So this must be equal to each other. N over m is equal to p over n, because you have a common ratio, because this is what? This is a geometric sequence. This is what you are told. Let me close this for now. So from this, you know that when you do cross multiplication, n times n is n squared. This is equal to, you do cross multiplication, you have mp, right? So you have n squared is equal to mp. And now you can substitute this n squared into there and see if the discriminant delta is going to be less than 0. If it is less than 0, then you know that x is a non-real number. Okay, let's see that. So the discriminant is equal to n squared. N squared is this, minus 4mp, and you can see the discriminant or delta is equal to, you have mp minus 4mp, so you have 1 minus 4. This is negative 3mp, right? 1 minus 4, this is negative 3. You have mp, mp, these are like terms, so you have negative 3mp. Okay, now from here you can see that you have m and p. When you read the question again, check the information. You are told that m, n, and p are positive real numbers. So you have m, n, and p. They are positive real numbers. So when you have two numbers, when you multiply them, you have two positive numbers. When you multiply the two positive numbers, the answer will always be a positive. But if you multiply it by negative 3, the answer is going to be a negative. So when you have a negative answer, you know that this is what? Less than 0. Okay, so from here you can see that delta, you can say therefore delta is less than 0. So you can conclude that x is a non-real number because delta is less than 0. Okay, so this is how you solve this question. You don't have to show this when trying to answer this question. I was using this just to explain this. Okay, we are done with question 1 from November 2021. If you find value in the video, please show that with your likes and comment in the comment section. Remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so that you can be notified every time I post new videos for you. Okay, until next time, I will talk to you soon.